sense. But I subscribe to Peacock. I subscribe to Hulu. I subscribe to Peacock both because of the WWE references in terms of like being able to watch old pay-per-views and things like that. But also I do like a lot of NBC TV shows. Also, if you watch football, which I do occasionally, you can watch Sunday night games on there that are airing on NBC. With Hulu, my wife likes a lot of stuff that's on Hulu, and I can watch old TV shows on Hulu. So I'm able to definitely see the WWE product. I just haven't really devoted any time to it because I haven't liked what they put out. I don't like the company. I don't like how the company treats its people. And it's a weird feeling for me because there is guys there that I do like. There's Edge, there's Owens, and there's a few others. And part of what the legacy was that WWE has both between the WWF and WCW, I like the old big gold belt. You can't really buy that anywhere besides WWE. So you're kind of forced to watch it. But if you have AEW referencing WWE, you have WWE referencing AEW, it brings a realism in there that makes you want to watch both on Monday, Friday, and Wednesday. And at first I thought I might have skipped a day, but realizing both SmackDown and Rampage are both on Friday. But you get what I'm saying is it brings a level of intrigue there that we haven't seen in a while. It kind of brings this level of what could possibly happen to a form of programming that's been stagnant for years. Let's be honest. Before AEW came into the picture, yes, Impact was a competitor, but it did not leave that whole what could possibly happen feeling. Now it kind of does. And might not be in a war or anything like that, like the Monday Night Wars that we had with WWF and WCW, but it gets really, really close. And there's a lot of people that kind of feel like the references that Edge made in his promo referencing the people that have been cut and John Morrison in particular related to The Miz was in bad taste. No, it brings a role of realism. Keep it going. We need that. We need that to be intrigued. And you have people in WWE that seem to feel, we'll reference this out. Raw was in UBS Arena on Long Island. They were able to only sell less than 6,000 tickets. Currently, Dynamite, for the Dynamite and Rampage tapings, are closing near 9,000. There's rumor going on that people in WWE think Tony Khan is just buying seats and giving away tickets, kind of like what WCW did in the latter parts. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true because if you pay attention to the product and you're a hardcore wrestling fan, which a lot of people that go to the shows are mainly hardcore wrestling fans, they're not liking what Raw is putting out. A lot of people are like myself that critique Raw, that don't like what Raw is doing. But then there are people that are big fans of AEW and like what they're doing. And if you also put in the perspective that you're basically getting two shows, you're getting three. I think they record Dark Elevation there as well. So you get Dark Elevation, you get Rampage, and you get Dynamite. That's a pretty damn good deal. And yeah, it's several hours of wrestling, but if you don't like what Raw's putting out and you like what AEW's putting out and you get to check out Dark Elevation, Dynamite, and Rampage, that's well worth it. Because I believe, if I remember correctly, Dark Elevation is recorded during the tapings for Dynamite and Rampage, where Dark is recorded over in Orlando at the Universal Studios soundstage. So you get a lot of bang for your buck in that perspective if you're a hardcore wrestling fan and do like the product that AEW puts out. I'm not exactly shocked by it. WWE might be the bigger name and has more of a legacy, but for hardcore wrestling fans, AEW is kind of where it's been at lately. And Raw is not it. It's one of those where the show hasn't been great for a while, and a lot of people that are wrestling fans kind of haven't had that opinion. So now I'm going to go a little bit harsh on AEW. I appreciate a lot of what they've done, and I think them as a company overall is more my speed, and I like what they've produced thus far. There's one thing that's kind of grinding at me. I am fine with AEW mentioning WWE. I think it creates a realism, like for instance the CM Punk promo, as well as acknowledging Punk was there, as well as anybody else that came from WWE, acknowledging that they're there. There's one thing that's kind of been grinding at me as though. On this past Wednesday, Cody Rhodes took on Andrade in a match that saw the table get lit on fire. A little overdone. Don't really see a reason for it, but either way, that's what happened. And honestly, the spot did not go over well because you could tell Andrade completely cleared the table. Cody's the one that went through the table, but yet Andrade got pinned. Either way, During that match, Cody Rhodes gets a sledgehammer and a golden shovel from underneath the ring, referencing Triple H. I was fine with him breaking the throne that looked like Triple H's throne. I can't remember which pay-per-view that was. I didn't mind that because it looks like they were taking a shot at WWE. Like, look, we're going to get 10 with you, and here's where it's at. Cody constantly referencing Triple H like this gets a little tiresome. We all know Triple H, especially in the early 2000s, had what was called the golden shovel. He did not put guys over. You had that terrible WrestleMania match between him and Booker T, which Booker T should absolutely have won. You have other things that came about, like, for instance, Triple H was not a fan of dropping the belt to Jeff Hardy and keeping him there because he felt he was unreliable. Whatever. At this point, I think where we're at with AEW, they're far enough away that they don't have to make these references. I don't think it really appeases anybody, and honestly, it just feels like Cody Rhodes should definitely be a heel at this point. He's already done his heelish tactics. His promos don't make any goddamn sense for him to continually be a face. And if he's going to constantly take shots like this, let him be a heel. Let him be the bad guy that no one likes. Yes, he's taking shots at WWE, and more people are upset with WWE than anything. But it seems unnecessary to take these shots. It seems like it benefits nobody other than to tickle themselves backstage. And that gets a little tiresome. AEW is not perfect. I will long stand behind that they're not perfect. They are my preferred TV show between both the major wrestling companies. There's other companies out there, but if we were talking about the main cable company or cable TV show companies, it's mainly AEW and WWE, and it feels unnecessary to constantly take these shots, especially when I don't know if you guys seen the banner, but the winner is coming with Hangman versus Danielson, or because of the font that they chose, it looks like it says Wangman, which is absolutely hilarious. Luckily, Daniel Bryan took a shot at himself, saying last year's Winter is Coming had a title change, so will this one. Wangman head gets kicked in 2 weeks from now. So it takes place on December 15th on Dynamite at 8 p.m. But why did this get approved? AEW is a young company. They're going to make mistakes, but did anyone not look at that and say, man, that kind of looks like it says Wangman? Relative to AEW as well, they recently officially signed Tony Nese to contract, which I'm getting a little weary on how large the roster is growing versus how much time that they have for TV. It feels like there's not enough TV time on TNT for them, or even TBS because they're going to TBS now, for them to be able to get all these guys' attention that they need and continually build them up. But they keep signing more talent. Tony Nese definitely deserves to be signed to a company. I don't like how WWE treated him at the end. To me, he was definitely one of those guys that could be a future star if they invested time in him. So it's good to see AEW took that shot. Also, Matt Hardy has changed characters a couple times while being in AEW, from Broken Matt Hardy to Big Money Matt Hardy, which I loved Big Money Matt and TNA. I thought he was a funny character. I loved when he did the mean tweets thing, which honestly I wish he would have took advantage of and done that this time around with AEW, but it looks like he's gearing towards more a real version of him. So what that means for Hardy Family Office will probably be that they're going to be broken up and down the line. If that's the case, I would really like to see him kind of elevate Private Party a little bit more. I think they're a really good tag team that could be stars within the company. And they already have a lot of good tag teams with FTR, the Lucha Brothers, Jurassic Express. There's many others. And Private Party was one of my favorite from the get-go. I love the move, the Gin and Juice, because it's one of my favorite tag team maneuvers that's being done currently. It's right up there. I loved the 3D back in the day, and it's right up there with the 3D for me. So if they do get broken up, I hope that he's able to elevate Private Party and make them focus for themselves, and see where it goes from there. Especially considering, Matt's getting up there in age. His body's kind of beat up from all the kind of matches he did early on with the TLC and the TLC 2. So he's probably towards the latter end of his career. You could tell that his body's beat up versus someone like Christian, who doesn't really show as much that their body's beat up. So he might be, like I said, gearing towards the end of his career. He's able to work on the mic and keep character development going to where he doesn't have to do a lot of those aerial moves that maybe Jeff Hardy does to stay relevant. But it would be good for him to kind of get out of there and able to, especially if he's able to elevate Private Party while doing that. So before I go into WWE again, NWA Hard Times 2 takes place tomorrow night, which, well, by the time that this comes out, it'll be this past Saturday, December 4th, on Fight TV. Now, one of the things I want to kind of highlight, especially if you're able to possibly get this after the fact, it looks like a good card. Yeah, Mike Knox versus Trevor Murdoch for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. Trevor Murdoch was part of a team with, I'm blanking on his name, but there was a Southern-based team back in WWE. Mike Knox has been in both WWE and TNA. So that looks like it'll be a decent match. We also have former WWE Melina versus Camille for the NWA Women's Championship match. The NWA World Television Championship match with Tyrus, formerly Brodus Clay in WWE, versus Scion with the Pope D'Angelo Dinero as the special guest referee. The Pope was, that same character in TNA, but he was also Elijah Burke in WWE ECW. Grudge match, no seconds at ringside. Nick Aldis versus Tom Latimer. Both these guys used to be part of Impact. Nick Aldis was Magnus, and Tom Latimer was Bram. They had a little bit of a program that went on while they were both in TNA at the same time. They're entertaining people. The only dig I kind of have with Tom Latimer or Bram is he has a history of violence on personally. There was an indication, or there's an altercation that happened between him and Ashley Flair, Charlotte, prior to her being elevated to WWE TV. NWA National Heavyweight Championship match is Jadaeus. I hope I'm saying that right because I haven't really watched NWA TV lately. With Sinister Minister, which is he worked in WWE and he also worked in TNA, and I'm blanking on his name that he used there, but versus Chris Adonis, which was Chris Masters in WWE. You had NWA World Tag Team Championship match, The End versus La Rebellion. You have the NWA World Tag Team Championship match, Lady Frost and Natalia Markova versus Hex versus Kylie Ray and Tootie Lynn. Kylie Ray showed up on TV for both Impact and AEW in the past. You also have Colby Corino versus Doug Williams. Doug Williams was a guy that used to wrestle in TNA, part of the British Invasion, and he was a tag team partner with Nick Aldis and Rob Terry. You got the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship qualifying match. Well, I definitely butchered that one, which it has Austin Aries versus Rhett Titus. The NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship qualifying gauntlet order of entry to be chosen on a random draw. You have Jeremiah Plunkett versus Victor Benjamin versus PJ Hawks versus Araya Davari versus Darius Lockhart versus Homicide versus C.W. Anderson versus Sal Renato versus Kerry Morton versus Jamie Stanley versus Alex Taylor. That looks like it'd be an interesting match. The main names that pop out to me are PJ Hawks, Araya Davari, and C.W. Anderson. I recognize, and Homicide. I definitely recognize those names, not all the names I come immediately to my head here. We also got the ROH World Tag Team Championship match, which is OGK versus Aaron Stevens and Kurotos. Aaron Stevens was in Impact under the name Aaron Stevens, or it might have been Aaron Rex. And he was also Damian Sandow in WWE. So this is taking place again on December 4th. You'll be able to order it, the replay, but it definitely looks like a very good card, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna pick it up and order it because it looks very interesting to me. So for the WWE side of things, they're ending the production of DVDs in the U.S. and Canada. Basically, WWE home video will be no more. I understand. I understand because they have the network now, so it's almost like they don't need it. And they really don't need to carry it anymore. Not many people are buying physical media much anymore, but at the same time, there is people like me who definitely do like having physical media still. I still buy DVDs and Blu-rays. I still buy, not just that, DVDs and Blu-rays.